I guarantee you're making at least one of these mistakes. It's keeping your belly fat and your weight stuck. It's likely you're making 3 to 4 of them. You're doing all the right things with your diet and exercise, but nothing changes. If you're a guy in your 30s or 40s juggling work and stress and a family and your body's just not responding the way that it used to, you're not alone. I was right there with you, stuck for years. It was very painful for me until I lost 80 pounds and really cracked the code. Unfortunately, these mistakes are training your body to actually hold on to the fat instead of use it. By the end of this video, you know how to flip that around entirely into your favor. So you can fire your metabolism back on and finally get to that 15% body fat. And this can happen in a matter of months, not years. To start, I'm gonna show you how to build real compounding progress, not just some fad that fades out. So this first mistake is about not compounding your habits. So like, let me give you a financial example. If you put away $100 into investments every month for 20 years, you would have almost 100 grand. That's that's impressive. That's not super impressive. If you did that for 40 years, you would have almost 700 grand. The same is true in fitness. It's boring, but these things compound. By the way, I have a free habits calculator that I made through Google that is, in my opinion, very encouraging, that shows you what little habits compound into massive fat loss if done enough, if done for long enough. You can get that free in the description. So the habits that we're really gonna focus on are gonna be steps, hard weight training sets, and a sustainable calorie deficit. Those things might seem super simple, but a plan shouldn't be hard. The hard part is sustaining something easy every single day. Because with these habits that I just wrote down, you get more fit, which means you burn more, and you have more muscle because of those sets that we were talking about, which means you burn more, and you're more fit, and the cycle continues, and it really does start to get easy. As for your steps, I would try to find some sort of baseline using your phone or a step pedometer. So that's the one that I use. It is super accurate. I just put it in my pocket, a lot of times like inside the pocket, and it tracks very, very accurately. I've tested it. So find your baseline and slowly start to increase that up to 1,000, by 1,000 every single week. For your weightlifting workouts, just go in, work out hard, 2 to 3 sets per body part. If you're doing a total body split, I would try to get in there 3 times a week. If you're doing push-pull or upper lower, I would do 4 times a week. But the thing is that every single one of those sets is very, very intense. It's almost a failure on every single one, if not 2 failure on every single set. And then of course, a daily sustainable deficit. I can't tell you how, we're gonna talk a little bit more about this later, about the intensity and the daily deficit, but I cannot tell you how many people think that they are on their diet far more often than they are. My clients actually log this, and I look at their food logs every single day. And if they don't log, I assume that they weren't on their diet. And then if they do log, even whenever they do, they don't really remember that they had this and had this and had this. It's not bad choices, it's just too many calories. Most people fail here because they're chasing quick wins. But when you do what I'm about to talk about next, it keeps your metabolism from crashing. So we're gonna go over a FIRE framework. This is all to avoid metabolic downshifting. This is a real thing. It actually slows down as you lose weight. As you lose fat, I know it's kind of obvious, but you weigh less. And therefore you burn less calories. Fat itself burns about 2 calories per gram as you lose fat, so that's where a lot of the adaptation happens. But also you're not physically as heavy. If I put on a 50-pound backpack symbolizing 50 pounds, it is difficult to walk with that. Of course, my body's gonna be burning more calories whenever it is, having to work that hard. Plus, if you don't lift and you don't keep your muscle, you're gonna lose it. Whenever you lose muscle, you burn less. Just like you started to burn less with less body fat, now you're burning less with less muscle because you weigh even less. But also the stuff that was burning the most calories that's on your body, your muscle, that also is now leaving. So this first one is fuel with protein. And this is gonna be roughly 1 gram per pound of your ideal weight or your goal weight. So if you weigh 400 pounds, don't worry, you don't need 400 grams of protein. For most guys, you're gonna be shooting for somewhere around 200 grams. I stands for intensity, and that's the intensity in your lifting. I already mentioned this a little bit earlier. We're gonna do 2 to 3 times per week, total body. Go heavy and go hard. You're literally going until you almost can't move the weight. Now at first, give it a month or 2 months maybe of lifting until you get used to it. But once you get used to it, you're going hard almost every single set. R is refuel breaks. If you find that you are getting obsessive over food and you're just hungry all the time, it is time for a diet break. Diet breaks, in my opinion, are one of the strongest things that keep your metabolism going. And it's not really your metabolism. I do think it kind of helps reset some of those hormones and therefore avoids that metabolic downshifting. But it's more about your mental metabolism. Meaning, if I accidentally sneak in 200 or 300 calories because I'm nonstop thinking about food, it's gonna feel like my metabolism is slowed. But really, I just got more hungry, increased my calories, and of course I didn't lose weight. So although that doesn't perfectly fit in a metabolic adaptation, it is something that I really think needs to be thought about more often. That's taking a diet break of 3-4 weeks. If you lose weight and then maintain every time that you started to normally go backwards, can you imagine? It wouldn't take you long at all. Now these 3 things, the goal here is to keep your energy output high. And this is on workouts and like your mental energy. This allows you to keep your steps up and keep your cardio going and prevents movement dropping, which would negate the fact that you're on a diet. The next part of my system is going to help you stop the nightly crash that ruins your diet. Even when your day's been perfect, if you're crashing at night, you know that you don't get anywhere. So we're going to talk about mistake number 3. All right, so this is just a basic graph, and this is the time. These are your calories. So a decent graph, what we would want to see is that throughout the day, your calories are increasing. Something like that. Someone might hold more of their calories for back here, but this is, you get it. By 9 p.m., you're elbow deep in a bag of chips and your calories skyrockets. Now here is the mistake, and I really believe that this is a mistake. This might be triggering for some people, but not eating after dinner is the mistake. Let me explain. I don't like the advice to stop eating after dinner. Now, for some people, intermittent fasting really works. It's not necessarily a bad thing. Just for most, I find that it doesn't. But even if a person's not following intermittent fasting, most clients that come to me say, oh my gosh, I ate something after, and I look what they ate, and it wasn't a big deal. It was like 200 calories of something that actually was kind of healthy. What I like to focus on is saving some of your calories for when you're most tempted. Not all of them, not a ton of them, or you're gonna be starving and then you're still gonna overshoot it. But if you are tempted after dinner, for me, I save an entire meal for after dinner. So I have 4 meals a day, and I'm not talking like 4 smaller meals. I have 4 meals and 1 snack, 4 regular size meals that add up to 3,000 calories throughout the day, all this stuff. And one of the meals is 500 to 700 calories, and that is the meal right before bed. If you are tempted before bed, then please save some calories for right before bed. Literally eat, brush your teeth, go to bed. If that helps you, you are going to win. I don't know what it is. I think it's just like a mental thing, knowing that whenever I'm facing temptation, whenever I'm hungry, if I know that I have a delicious buffalo protein taco bowl waiting in the fridge for me, I just pull out, heat it up, and it's cheesy and all this deliciousness, I just don't have that temptation anymore. I don't want to eat the peanut butter or the cookies or the crackers or whatever if I know that there's a legitimate plan ahead for what I'm going to eat. Now, they say digestion could be thrown off and you won't get into deep of sleep or whatever. I don't find that affects me whatsoever. But here's the key takeaway in my opinion. Lack of temptations and therefore staying on your diet is far more important than a little bit better sleep. Now, if this seriously affects you and you're like, dude, I can't sleep anymore, then of course, ditch that. I'm saying that most of the time you're still able to sleep just fine. That brings us to the next big problem though, the one that I used to think that I could outwork. The 4th mistake is trying harder. I did this all the time. As a man, I just wanted to work harder. I thought I was lazy and I literally kind of hated myself for it. I thought there was something wrong with me and everyone else is working really hard while I was just being lazy and not working on my fitness goals. Now though, my environment hardly has junk food in it, so I don't have to work harder to resist those temptations. I also have a gym in my basement. Now I don't use it as, nearly as often, but if I ever need to, I have less excuses than ever before. To this day, as much success as I have had losing weight, and I feel like I'm getting pretty good, if I have to walk by cookies 3 or 4 times in a row saying no to them, I will end up giving in. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. If that's you as well, I think that's just human nature. Whenever you put something tempting in front of us and again and again and again berate us with that, we're gonna end up giving into that temptation. That's why it's best to exit that. So the mistake here is depending on willpower and not fixing your environment. Now, I know what you've already been saying. I have a family, I have kids, XYZ. Most of the guys on here, we're in kind of the same boat. And I understand. I'm in the exact same situation. I cannot resist that stuff because my daughter wants it and I want to give it to her in moderation. So we have a lockbox. It's a plastic lockbox that only my wife knows the combination to, and that allows me to give her those foods when the time comes, or my wife can have them or whatever, and I can't get in. Okay, so you fix your environment. You should definitely do that. But even then, most guys are gonna get tripped up by this next part, lying to themselves about how good they've been. So let me show you this. I heard this one time and it just made so much sense. For some reason, I lost my red and my green marker. So we're gonna do orange and blue. When asked in surveys, people think they hit 70% red lights. Statistically though, like this is actually studied, they only hit about 17%. So the thing is, we remember the red lights. We don't remember the green lights. We don't remember when something was smooth sailing. This is the number one mistake that I see with my clients is they think that they have been good up to a certain point, or, I don't like phrasing it good and bad, but they think they've been on their plan a lot more than they have been. So if you think about it like a 7-day calendar, 2 days are good. 3 days are about 50% on plan. And 2 days, it's usually Friday and Saturday, are absolutely tanked. That is what will happen, and someone still reports into me, Aaron, I've been on plan, what's going on? In reality, whenever we add it up, it's about 50% on, 50% off, maybe even 60% off. And I think this should be encouraging. I know that this sounds like I might be beating a person up or saying like, hey, you need to do better or whatever. First, that is my job. But number 2, if there is a reason that your diet isn't working because you're off of the diet half the time, this is good, this is fixable. Instead of wondering, well, it must be my metabolism, it must be how old I am, it must be XYZ, fill in the blank, something that I can't control. If we can see that 60% of your diet is off, well, that's easy. Let's start by fixing 30% of that. So here's the fix for this. This can happen right away. Log everything for at least 2 weeks. Log everything, every little piece, every piece of food that you eat from your toddler's plate, which you'll just end up saying, well, I don't want to eat that one chicken nugget if I log one chicken nugget, and that'll keep you on your plan. But all of the condiments, all of the oil, everything. And what you'll start to see is you won't mess up. You'll be like, see, I had a perfect 7 days. But the scale will start dropping, because before you were messing up, and now that you're holding yourself accountable with your food log, and if you were training with me, I'd be nagging at you every single day, then you actually start to lose weight. And I think that's the number one reason that my clients really do drop a ton of weight, because someone's watching them and they really don't have that self-tricking mechanism like we do with the lights. When we face the truth, we can fight it. So man up, go out there and fight it. If it is fixable, the power's back in your hands. Now, if you're serious about this, you better be ready to lose the weight. I talk about what you're not ready for in this video so that you don't end up quitting, and this time you're actually gonna make it.